Hello everybody, welcome back to Kanga TV, the home of North Melbourne fans. I was halfway through editing a video when the news came through that 25-year-old Jaidyn Stephenson has made the decision to retire from AFL football after 122 games, 130 goals and 4 seasons at the North Melbourne Football Club. Late last week, I did a draft discussion, what happens with pick 2 with Pommy, and we were chatting off air before we went to record, and I said to him that potentially there was a third option where North could look to take an extra pick into the draft, and that was potentially paying out a player on the list who we didn't see a future with North Melbourne. And 2 of the names that we spoke about were Callum Coleman-Jones and Jaidyn Stephenson. It's a rumour I had read early last week, and I brought it to him, and he said that potentially there was something to explore there, and it seems like that decision has been made for us. Mitch Cleary from Channel 7 has reported this afternoon that apparently Stevo has lost his passion for the game, and despite having 1 year left to run on his 5-year deal at North, has decided to call a time after 68 games with the club. Am I surprised? Not really. Am I disappointed? A little bit. I just think it's sad that he won't get the opportunity, one last opportunity to win fans over is probably the wrong word. I think he's had plenty of time to do that, but I think there was so much left of his redemption story that it was set to play out next season, and we won't get to see that. And I completely understand and respect his decision, and I wish him all the best. And like I said, not entirely surprised that he's come to this decision, but a little part of me maybe is a bit disappointed because as a shinboner, we love the redemption story. We love the comeback. We thrive off that. And unfortunately, we won't get to see that from Stevo like I had hoped we might have. Stevo came across to North at the end of 2020 under somewhat controversial circumstances. It seemed like there was a bit of miscommunication between himself and former Collingwood coach Nathan Buckley. Maybe didn't see eye to eye, and then potentially the way that the trade was handled, not fantastic. He came across to North with Artu Bonsuvalagi, who was delisted from the club a couple of seasons ago. But he was a solid contributor. Stevo played almost 70 games for North. He grew up supporting North as well, and I think he was initially linked to North in that draft in 2017. However, went to Collingwood, slid down the draft a little bit because of concerns around a heart condition that he had, and he ended up winning the Rising Star the following season. So we knew he had talent. We saw glimpses of it at North as well. I'll never forget that game against West Coast over in Perth in 2021 in the wet. I was there on a very cold Monday night in front of 35,000 people. Perth had just come out of a 2-week lockdown process, and it was one of the best performances I've ever seen. Definitely one of the best performances I've seen from him. He and Ben Cunnington basically willed us through to victory. It was quite remarkable, and it was against all odds, lowly North Melbourne in the middle of COVID. No one really expected that, and we saw flashes of what he could do, and we knew he had talent, and we knew that he was passionate. We knew that he could play, but unfortunately it just seems like he's lost that love that you probably do need to dedicate your life to being an AFL footballer.
Tumbled over, but got it to a teammate. To return it to Zeeble. Stevenson, excellent above his head there. Puts them just a beat off, but Tarrant able to connect with Stevenson. Now Zerha finds his feet and finds Stevenson. His 14th possession of the quarter coming up.
What happened in the first quarter?
Allen engaging Cherry that time. Stevenson walked through, good hands to Phillips. 3 points in it. Marnie tried to force the issue, got it through. Davies Uniac, the feet were dancing. He couldn't quite get through, but he got it out. Stevenson with his own moves. Cunnington, he gave it all he had. They have to touch it, otherwise North are in front. Davies Uniac to Cunnington again. He's placed it for Stevenson.
He's been critical, Cunnington, I think this second half.
Could be his most important kick, the kangaroo jumper. The stutter step, he lets fly. And now he can raise his arms like all those roos behind the goal.
On the flip side, we also saw the worst of Jaidyn Stephenson. I don't think anyone will ever forget when he put his hands on his head and turned his back to Sydney's Buddy Franklin when Bud was standing 15 metres out in front of goal. He kicked the ball straight to Buddy Franklin, put his hands on his head, turn around, all for Buddy just run on into a somewhat open goal and kick it over his head. That was definitely not Stevo's finest moment. And I think if there's one legacy he's going to leave at North, unfortunately for him, that will be it. The other game I did want to touch on was the Jaidyn Stephenson redemption game. And I guess this is kind of what I was hoping we would see for his career and for a turnaround next season. We played Richmond earlier this season at Marvel Stadium. The first half, god-awful from poor Jaidyn, but after halftime, he was absolutely phenomenal, and he was a big contributor to what was eventually a great win for North under the roof. It is a shame. Like I said, we know what he's capable of, but he isn't able to bring that out in himself. So it's probably no use him still being on the list. If he can acknowledge that he's lost the passion for the game, then it is time maybe for him to walk away. And like I said at the top of the video, there were rumours that potentially we would look to pay Stephenson out to get another list spot heading into the draft later in November. All the best to Jaidyn Stephenson. I know that he is well loved around the club. I've spoken to Zane Dersma about Stevo before, and he's often credited Stevo for being an incredible mentor and someone who's really taken him under his wing and been great for, making sure he feels welcome in the club and for his development off the field. And you can't buy that, and it's really hard to come by characters like that at the football club. So leave your comments and your thoughts below. What do you think about the retirement of Jaidyn Stephenson, his call to walk away from football at just 25 years of age? If you want to stay up to date with more North news and analysis and stories that are set to come, please hit that like button and subscribe, and follow along on socials as well, Kanga TV Show across YouTube and Twitter. I'll see you guys very soon.